Welcome back to Gurus and Newbies. Okay, so let's get the basics right for how to actually code asynchronize and await and also future API in Flutter. And this is basically simple. So let's look here. What is asynchronous programming? It is simply a form of what parallel programming that allow a unit of work to run in a different thread. But what is this asynchronous? It's very easy, like playing background songs or music, or using the music player to just listen to song as well as playing game at the same time. So background functions and tax running behind the scene. And then we have something like performing some heavy calculation behind the scene also can be done using this parallel programming, and also using uh, the synchronous to also look at file download in order to check at the background to see whether the file have successfully downloaded, and also checking of network where the networks are not really good and all that. So there are a lot of different kind of things you can use this asynchronous programming to perform in that and other programming languages. But in that, we only run this on a single thread. Yeah, we execute this on a single thread. Looking at Android and other programming languages, they have two threads for this, for the UI and also for the tax running. But here using only one single thread for this asynchronous programming. So here, when we look at that, deals with this by using an object called the future. And this is the T here represents the what? The return type. You understand? So return type will be probably the final result when the future returns it to the async and wait function. So let's look at here. We say that provide two ways of implementing this, as I said, using the async keyword and then the await keyword. You understand? And then we do that by using what we call the future API. Okay, so let's get started and see how we can actually practically get to understand how to use these keywords and how they actually functions. Good. So we're gonna have a simple demo showing you how to use these future API and async and await in your normal live programming. You got it. So let's look here. We are in the main.dat, and then we only want to implement this by probably showing two codes in here, like two functions. One will be waiting for a download of file, and a print statement will be executed when the downloaded file is finished. Okay, we are doing this so that we can start with the database implementation because of the RESTful APIs. So we need to actually get the basics right. Let's get moving. So here we need to first import just a simple uh, that we're gonna write today. So let us import that asynchronous, right? So the async keyword is here, and then we're gonna have our main. Let's have our main, and for our main, let's leave the main blank now, and let's create another here. Let's create another uh, function here, and then we're gonna call that one the print, since we want to use this to demonstrate. So let's just have this. Let's say print file, and for print file content. Yeah, so this is just a demonstration just to really understand how to use those widgets. Okay, so we have one here that is print file, and then we're gonna have another one for the future, and that one will be let's say let's say download. Since we're gonna use this to demonstrate, let's say download what download file. Yes, so we have one function here, another function here, and this is download what file. So we're gonna look at how to implement this using the future here and then using the async and await here. Very simple. So inside here we'll be waiting for a file to download. That will be the future, and then after the file is downloaded, it should come here, or it should give the app a background, a trigger, or a code that okay, this has finished, and then we can execute our code. So here, what are we gonna do here? Here, since it's gonna use the feature of download, that is await of download, we should use the future keyword here, and the future keyword, as I said, T represents what? The return type, and we will say this will return a string. Okay, so we say this is a future, and our function is also a future. So don't forget, the beginning of this we will have the future and return a string type, and then the name of what? Of the function, that is download file. Okay, so in here, in our download file, what do we need in here? It's pretty much simple. We're gonna have a variable with a result that will hold what we're gonna do, and then what is it gonna do? It's gonna return something to us that we will say it is gonna return the string. So it's gonna return something, and there needs to be a delay before this will happen, so we use the feature.delay. And what delay are we talking about? So we can actually look at the duration of what we are waiting for. So duration here, and duration, we can set the duration of what we are waiting for. We have days, hours, milliseconds, and all that. Let's use seconds. So probably within 6 seconds we should get what we are waiting for in this. So in the await, after the await, let's have an anonymous function to return what we are waiting for. Since this is just a demo, we will be returning a string here. Okay, good. Just for you to get the basics. So we'll be returning a string, and when we implement it in a real life, you'll really grab it in our next video. But you need to understand how to use the future API, the async and the await. Okay, so what are we gonna return? We're gonna return the string. Here it's just a string because of the demo, so we'll be returning a string, and we can write anything in here, anything of your choice, right? So let's say here is what? Yet to download file. Yet to download file content. Yes. So yet to download file. This is future because we'll be waiting for it in our program to execute something else. So here, the print file, we'll be waiting for this file to finish downloading before we print the file here. So since it's a demo, we are returning a string, and then this future string is returning by using how many milliseconds or seconds before the file will finish downloading. So we use the return download file content. Yet to download file content. That is the return. Okay, so here, what should we do here? Here is where we're gonna actually implement the async and the string. But how do we do that? So since we are returning a string type, let's have a string, and then the name of what are we gonna return? We're gonna return, this is a variable name, so let's say the file content that we are waiting for. Okay, so and then what will this variable wait for? It's gonna wait for this function here. So it's waiting for this to finish before it perform its tasks. Okay, so here, after this returns, what should we do? Since it's just a demo, we wanted to print a statement for us to see whether it actually worked. Okay, so we say print something, and what will be the something? Maybe print the file the file download is completed. The file download is completed. Yes, just to understand how it actually works. So the file download is what? Completed. All right. So we are still not seeing the async and the await. So how do we do that? It is very simple. But before that, in the main function, let us call this function in the main here. Okay, good, perfect. And you terminate that. Okay, so let me go over again. This one is future. Future means what are we waiting for before we perform a task, and what return type is a string, and then this function name is download file, and here we return the future with a string again and with the result that is the variable name is equal to future.delay. So delay the file, or we have to do a background check, so it needs to have some time duration, and this duration is 6 seconds, and we have an anonymous function that return our file, and since this is a demo, we'll return just a string. All right, so then here, if this has finished downloaded, it needs to come into this function here, and this function needs to perform another task when this is finished. And what task are we performing? Is to return or print out what? A string. In the real world, it's gonna be a file. Okay, so let's look at the main. Inside the main, for us to see whether it actually works, we're gonna have this string here to print on the screen for us to see. So before it begins, let's say this is what? The start of the what? Async. The start of the what? Async what? Async function. Yes, let's just name it this way, async function. And let's say the second one should be the end of yes, end of async what function. Very good. So now this will actually show us what is happening when we execute this. So we have the future, and where do we put the async? It's very simple. In this function, this function that will be waiting for the future should have the keyword async right in front, no, right after the function name here. Perfect. Okay, then we're gonna have the await. What are we gonna wait for? We're gonna wait for this function, so the await should show before we call the function name, that is the await. So pretty much simple, huh? All right, good. So this is the file content, print file content. Okay, and then we have download results. Okay, perfect. Print file content, and then we have string file content, and then this file content is where print file content. Okay, let me see, file content. Okay, then we have the result, and then okay, so I need to return the result, this result here, return beneath this, because we have the result but we are not using it. So let me return this, return result here, then I terminate. Okay, so return results. Perfect. Okay, then next is inside here we have the file content, but we are still not using it, so we need to call that here. Okay, so here we need to also make use of what the file content here. So let's call this here the $sign and then file content here. Okay, perfect. So our code is perfect here. So now let's run and then see how it actually works. So I type in Flutter run. Since we're gonna check only this in the console, so I use the Flutter run. So Flutter run, this should display first and then this should display next. So before this should also work after 6 seconds. All right, good. So this is running in the browser, but let's check it in the terminal. Okay, so we said start the synchronous function and the synchronous function in 6 seconds. This should execute exactly perfect. So we have file download is completed, yet to download file content, this one. So file download is completed and then it's returned yet to download. So we can also inspect that in the browser as well. We go to the inspect because we are using the browser to check this. So we have the console. So in 6 seconds, this should print start the synchronous function and end the synchronous function. And then in 6 seconds, the file will be downloaded and be displayed and be used for its purpose. All right. So here, let's say I reload this, then we see it in the console of the browser as well. So we have start and then end. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Good. So the download file is completed. Boom. This is the end of this video. I want you to get the basic of how to actually implement async and await and then the future API in Flutter before we continue with our database and then the REST API. I said peace. If you have any question, kindly comment below and then we're going to get back to you. Hit on the notification bell and then also hit on the subscribe button. We are out.